It's going to snow finally.
Ice, apparently, was the thing, was the prediction.
Interesting.
Yeah, don't know. And weather predictions are 50-50 on average.
To see if the snow comes. They predicted it last night, I feel like.
Something like that, yeah.
And they were last.
Right. This is because come my room. She got like 2 baby daddies, so and both of them was my girlfriend.
We need to put this on the genogram. We need to put that on the genogram. 2 baby daddies.
What? No, one of them. No, only one of them my grandfather. Yeah. So let's just put him. We're gonna put the other baby daddy. He's not.
Interesting. Well, we are live because it has been that kind of week. So I gave that presentation I showed you guys last week. And yeah, it's
So you're digging into more of the licensures and stuff like that. There's a lot of new insights I found now.
okay.
I appreciated it.
Yeah, because there is a bunch for prevention. Is that what you were kind of looking into?
I was just looking for any variation that's different than mine. I mean, it determined that it wasn't really much more than I can make now, so I'm not going to pursue it. But
Okay.
because I'm already in a position that basically you can get, but it was still useful to rule that out so I didn't have those questions.
Right. Okay.
So, thank you.
For sure. No, that's what we're all here for. And in the middle of that meeting, this is how everything always goes down. We had Bobby call from grants. So I know you guys don't get this until your practice 3 class, like how to write a grant, what grants would look like, and how to do them. I think.
What class is this? Human behavior.
And the social environment.
And social environment. That's what they said. Hopefully they got the vote.
You hope you got it right. What are you worried about?
Nothing. My mom asked what class this is. And she over here to make me laugh.
Is she a social worker?
No.
Okay.
She's in college for some kind of nursing.
Okay.
RN. Yeah.
Green.
LCA had an event today. We got pie.
Oh, you got pie?
Oh,
For
nice.
like 2 hours. Yeah.
That's fun, actually.
So there's pie in the face?
Yeah.
Like it's in my hair.
You got a video?
It's up your nose?
Did you take a video?
It was up my nose.
The video's the
I
best.
don't have the video.
Mine is
There are
inside
videos
my
out
ear.
there.
That's so bad. I got like inside my ear, and
Yeah, I
like
smelled
even
nothing
after a
but
shower, I found
sweet
small.
dairy.
What the fuck?
That is kind of funny.
Yeah, last semester they had us doing that for New Age.
It's called New Age?
Well, it's one of the modeling boards on campus,
Okay.
and they had us do that, and people kept eyeing me, and there was whipped cream in my hair and everything.
Well, yeah, that's
Hard to
the
get
worst
out here.
part.
It was like even like covering myself with like a high pressure thing. I still was like, what? How did it get there?
But
That's-
the videos are funny though.
Yeah. We did it for I don't know what the reasoning there was, but because we valued lowering employee frustration, right?
Mhm.
We allowed them to pie the managers at the nursing home that I was working at. I was managing at the time, so my housekeeping staff really gave it to me. They had a lot to say to those pies, apparently.
Okay.
Constructive criticism, let's call it. Indirect. That's good.
So after we gave the presentation, I did not expect to get this, but if we reply, and this is why I have been slightly busy, we applied to this grant in August, and it's for creating a horticulture therapy program for treating mental health at a rural, historically Black college. Apparently, they like it. They want to give us $599,387.
That's good. Especially if it actually does numbers. And
Most of it comes to Central. It goes to Central. Is that what you're asking?
you should have rated that, dude.
No, I was trying to determine that's more than half a minute.
That's what it looks like. It's kind of scary and crazy. They had good feedback. I always go right to the concern. So like right here, they said negative aspects. They want more letters of support. So today I was working on that. Like other community mental health agencies, will they help? Most of this will go to Dr. Hunt and counseling. Do you guys know Dr. Hunt? Is everybody? She will be able to hire some new counselors and then train them in horticulture therapy. She does horticulture therapy over there. We even want to get somebody from the American Horticulture Therapy Association to support and provide training. 150,000 goes to the greenhouse. We get whatever percentage of time we can give to it, they'll pay us. And their other concern was also legit, as it said, the current PD, which was me, is director of social work. Will he have adequate time to manage? It's a good question. And oversee the project. More letters of support needed from the various departments from campus. So,
Are you thinking you might need to have some of your workload relieved?
Edison, is that what you're
No, I'm
saying?
saying, they're not talking about you.
Oh, right. So I am going to have to answer them.
Yeah.
And
I remember you mentioned your schedule was pretty
it is
rich
crazy.
as of now.
It is crazy, but we want, I guess bigger response is like the majority of this is going through Dr. Hunt. What it has me doing here is creating a therapeutic horticulture class, and hopefully we offer it online. And then that's like the gist of it. So
I'm curious, yeah, just because I might dig into this and see what I can do to help. Are they, because I work for one of the largest behavioral institutes in the entire state right now.
okay.
It's only one of three. I might be able to get some information if it's organized in a way that the people that, from my organization, understand, that might actually be able to help at least to provide an outlet
Okay.
of like people that, hey, this person's graduating, because they're the one, they also provide support. So there's counselors graduating in association with them,
Yeah.
waiting to work for them basically. I wonder if there's something, but I don't know the details of whether it conflicts with their interests or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of it is teaching therapeutic horticulture methods. So maybe seed starting, growing your own garden, and counseling while you're gardening with the folks.
As well as identifying the aspects of the gardening that are associated to good mental health practice. That's why you need counselors in that position. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So like I said, I'll reach out to, you said Dr. Hunt.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
reach out to Hunt and give him a little mini essay of what I'm stating right here in my possible influence.
Right.
And see if he wants me to even just pass some notes on to him.
Absolutely. Yes. That would be awesome because our response is
Yeah, so,
Dr. Hunt,
Oh, it's a she. Thank you for saying that.
Dr. Sonia Hunt.
number.
You got her cell?
I just want to say, I'll just send her an email for now
Mhm.
and see what she wants to continue so I don't take up, I don't.
You have her number because you know how good she is on email.
I just got it yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, is she bad at email?
Yeah.
I think so, but I had to catch her in the hall, and she's like, "I got plenty of agencies that will write a letter of support. Well, we need them like this week." Is the
Yeah, do you need her number? Does she pick up the
I
phone?
about to say
She
wouldn't-
does.
She wouldn't mind.
Yeah, no, I would love that actually. Because I want to try to facilitate that, but I cannot offer her.
like, hey, I want to give her a letter of support. She said she would get them. I got one.
It
If she-
is, are you ready?
Yeah.
937-829-3295.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I like to help.
Yes.
I've recently been, my vigor for this college itself has been amplified because I've been with Curtis, the financial, Curtis Matisse, Pettis.
Mm,
And we had a really good conversation about some discrepancies I had, and he revealed that I might be able to actually get help with the
Look,
scholarships as well as
Good.
be involved a little more because of my perspective. So
okay.
I really want to, now I'm like, okay, now I'm actually gonna try to do something to help the school.
And prospectus is like your resume, right? Does that sound right? Or is did you say because of your prospectus or your perspective?
Perspective, no,
Okay.
I'm being charged
Okay.
fees that are like ridiculous. And
Right.
agreed that they were.
Right. No,
He
that's
wants me to help fix that in the future.
absolutely something that we beg. Does anybody else have the problems come up with fees and they charge you late fees and they charge you all the
That
time?
isn't
My
really
wife says that.
Attention, because they wouldn't have listened to me if I didn't prove that it wasn't because of my own lack of attention. And it was more of an injustice that I had no idea. No,
Right. It's I would love for that to be fixed because I know that's one thing that has turned my wife away from like wanting to. She only has like 6 classes left to finish. That's it. It's hard to do with kids as we get into this. I want to make sure I have the right one for you guys because we went over the research one. That's what we presented
I don't know
today.
why I keep wanting to put Grandma Milton, but that's my grandma's dad. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Your mom's like, let me come join the class. She can come sit in and get elective credit for taking human behavior of the social environment. It helps for nursing.
Oh, you hear that? She's in the library doing some homework.
So you can sit in without paying, you still get some kind of, it's like adding to your portfolio.
Like your daughter paid. So we're on infancy. So I know some of you had mentioned interest in having kids. Others don't have an interest in having kids. If you're willing to share. I know.
Oh, you was wanting us to share?
You don't have to. I was going to say I was.
Eventually I will have kids.
You'll wait till as late as you can, like I did. No.
It wasn't in the plan.
You'll wait until what's the magic age for you guys?
I was gonna say after college, after I get working a little bit more.
Okay.
Become financially
The
stable.
age, like
Okay.
the age we want to stop at.
Start or stop, whichever.
I don't know about start, but definitely like 35 for a stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when we started. My wife was
If I'm not
35.
35, it's not good.
It's not happening.
And she wants, somebody said, well, it was her brother, because he's a priest. She's like, so you want to have your 5th when you're 40? She's like, hell no. But if it's another boy, it's a possibility. She wants another girl, not a 3rd boy. So that's kind of where we're at. And I get that. You want to balance it out. We have a tiny little house. We don't get paid a ton, but I make us financially secure because like we force a budget. It stinks sometimes. So, but bringing on a kid, it was scary to me. We did it during the pandemic. So they came in that big old box suit that they wear and like shove things up your nose and see if you have the COVID.
Is there another strand of COVID?
Probably.
Like right now?
Probably. It's like the flu
Yeah.
now. It seems like it's.
Honestly, I feel like everybody got that because I don't know. As soon as I came to school, was it last semester? Yeah, it was last semester. I was sick.
I was
It's like I don't know what it was. It felt like I had COVID, but it felt like this. Like I had a flu, like a new strand of COVID. I don't know what it was.
Right.
I was
Yeah,
sick.
just like the reason why the flu continues, the only way to eradicate it completely and stop it mutating is to eradicate it completely. So what happens is that's the reason why the strain survives and actually downgrades its effectiveness and side effects to where it's not as dangerous anymore is because the only ones that survive are those that don't kill their host and not as symbiotic as possible. So it's gonna be the flu from now. It's gonna be the same as the flu. COVID will never go away. It's not possible. The
It's,
best thing is that it can downgrade to a point where it doesn't have that many side effects. And that's what we try to do with vaccinations by preventing the ones that are most deadly and most significant from spreading. Therefore, giving room for the ones that are least deadly and least significant to flourish in its place. So we're kind of like stuck right now.
So they may like the flu have something. There's a sign-in sheet for you guys.
Flu shot, COVID shot.
Yes. So yeah,
I did that 3 times and I know.
that's what you're always wondering about. So we were talking about the high infant mortality. That was like literally when my dad was born, I guess. That's why people used to have a lot of kids too. Like you have parents or grandparents who are like, I came from 6. How many they have?
6 that might die.
Right. And they needed a farm hand or whatever the heck they were having a bunch of babies for, like, do the dishes, do the laundry, take out, just things that with modern technology we've gotten a little bit better at, efficient at. But rates decreased dramatically. Then we kind of talked about the different federal funds that put places into programs, Head Start, early Head Start. So in 65 and in 95, we had those 2 Head Start programs. So a big one, both parents working. That's a big change. Like maybe even 80s and 90s, you could get away with 1.5 jobs, covered a family. 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, you need at least 2.5 jobs to pay for a family of average size. I'll just put it at that. And yeah, like anybody heard the average car payment recently? Anybody trying to buy a car? Yeah.
What if there's like nothing much that's like wrong with my family? Oh wait, no, never mind.
Well, I like to hear the good stuff.
Huh?
You're talking about the genogram?
Yeah.
So the good stuff too, like education, first generation college student,
Okay.
um,
None of that.
Mensa, maybe they're a genius. Maybe they got,
None of that.
what does Mensa even stand for? Alcoholism, addiction,
Yep. Some of that.
some mental health, which is, what's that? Which, you know, it's a real deal. It's a real thing that's out there. And she's doing her genogram live in person,
I don't know.
live from New York. Where's your mom?
Where are you at?
In Detroit,
No.
Columbus,
She in Ohio.
Cleveland, Toledo, Dayton,
She in Dayton.
Cincinnati. Okay. So we had policies in childcare. One of them was like we get into those details, the Lanham Act, and that was in during World War II. So in 45, you had men overseas fighting in a war. So women were actually covering a lot of the jobs men were doing in factories, and then nobody was there to be with the kids, like either mom gone or dad. You're making me laugh. ALCOHOL. It'll spell it for you. Type it on your Mac, and it'll type it out for you.
Question: do you ever get like tired of driving back and forth from Cincinnati to here?
Yeah.
Like, do you take the same way every single day, or you take a different route?
I do change it. Well, because it'll tell you if there's bad traffic a certain way.
Trying to go through Mason.
Yes. And so, like in Lebanon, it'll take you over to 75 instead of 71, as I'm on the west side. Are you driving to Cincinnati too?
No, I was just asking.
Or do you drive
Because
far?
I couldn't imagine. Because even when I drive home, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm tired of driving this way.
It was easier with the car that has auto. Do you know what that new thing is? Cruise control stops, and my car is broken, so they gave me a loaner. And I was like driving and expecting the cruise control to stop the other day, and I'm going right into the back of a semi. I'm like, oh, this is a different cruise control. So I just got used to the one that stops for you, or if somebody pulls out in front of you, it like slams on the brakes, which is great. Yes.
Oh, like that's one of those like newer cars.
It's a 2020 Nissan
I think
Leaf.
the cruise control, I thought like.
You got to
or
stop
my-
it.
Yeah, my
Oh, the
old
electric
car had cruise control, and like it would be. I like be going at a certain speed limit, click a button, it'll stay there. But then once I put my foot on the brake, then it would stop.
Okay.
I didn't know that there was like.
Yeah, they have a camera sensor.
That's how I do my car.
It's like, I think it was also on my 2018 Clarity. I had a 2019 Toyota Prius, and like it will stop, and you set 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths, or something else. That has made it a little easier, and it keeps you in the lanes. Like you say, stay in between lanes. One of them will beep if you go outside of it. The other one will actually steer, so you stay in the lane and stop if something's in front of you. That was a game changer.
You said you drive a Leaf?
I have a
That's
Nissan Leaf.
That's an electric vehicle.
It's a
right?
little wind-up car is what I call it, yes.
How many miles can you get on a full charge?
It's supposed to be 200 when it's warm outside. It's not much.
So you have to charge it every single time you go back home.
I charge it up here, yes.
Oh, you charge it here?
I do. I have a location right over by the cop station that I've been using.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is it free to charge there?
I told them I could not come here unless if they had some way to charge the car. They're like, we'll get it. So
Well, good for you.
it's there. And you'll see plugs on the outside of buildings.
No, it's definitely there. we were like exploring over there, like you know about like by the conversation, like I want to say off of where the education building is over there.
There's a few now, so they've been putting plugs in all over the place. And you just bring, they'll give you a 110 charger, or you could buy, there's a dryer plug that's a 220 charger. I'd love if they got one of those, like it's a charger this thick because it's fast. So, travel, you're right, because getting home, caring for the kids. I mean, we've got a 1, 2, and 3-year-old and a baby due September 15th. So, that is our number one question. Like, what's your ETA? When are you home? And trying to balance that. I think if we paid daycare, it would be $20,000 a year. I'm sure. I don't know the total numbers, but I feel like daycare is at least $7,000 a kid. Maybe they cut you a break if you have a bunch in daycare. So she could work, but she'd probably be without her degree finished here yet. She's 6 or 7 classes short. You'd just be paying to working to pay for daycare. You know what I mean? Like say she was a pharmacy tech, they would pay you 18, 19, 20 per hour. That was good money, but for one person. So once you have more than one or two you're caring for, it's not easy. So my private practice is also halfway between here and Cincinnati. So in Lebanon, I have a private practice, and our teachers union lets us see 8 to 10 clients a week. So like one day of clients. I do evenings Monday and mornings on Wednesday to see them, to keep my license active. And then to keep my supervision license active, I supervise at a hospice on Fridays. So it's crazy a little bit. It's hospice in Cincinnati called Crossroads Hospice. And not connected to the church. What's that?
I forgot you were connected there, and so she was waiting for that. My mom was to say.
Oh, okay. That's probably a good one. Yeah, Hospice of Cincinnati is a really good one. And again, for social worker pay, fresh out of your BSW is 4 years or 3.5, however fast you do it. You qualify for the Advanced Standing Master of Social Work. It's only 11 months if you did it right. And with your fresh MSW, LSW, hospice was hiring for $68,000 a year. That's good pay. Like I was used to $35,000 a year. So that's doubling what I got 15 years ago. It's with the MSW, LSW, but you don't need your LISW. Most of them at the high pay are independent license stuff. So keeps on dying on me. So yeah, child care is a big one. Dependent care child credit. I had to use that recently. I did my own taxes. Any of you do your own taxes? How insane is that? Do you like it or do you hate it, or do you not care?
I'm still dependent, so.
So your parents do it? Okay. Do they have to, if you took loans, would they have to take them? You know
I
how,
have loans out, so I don't know.
right. I feel like they make you till you're 24 years of age, they make your parents take the money for you at certain incomes.
I don't know.
You had a question or no? Okay. You were saying you do your own taxes. No.
I don't know why my nose like I'm not.
Did you all get stimmy checks? Hello. Okay.
No.
Because if you didn't get, your parents got it. That's why I'm asking. Right. So we also had welfare reform in the 1990s. Dear Lord, is that here? So yeah, because we have this grant due on a reply, I have the director of grants like harassing me almost, it feels like, which I understand. Like if you don't reply in 2 days, you lose $599,000 for the university. So they're like, will you please reply timely? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, they're not going to be happy if I'm lax about it.
Is there a way that you can say, hey, this is why it's hard for me. Can you help? And they don't offer anything. I mean,
That's usually how it goes down. Yes. That's why it is kind of funny. It's just,
okay,
it's.
at least they understand that.
So on infancy stage of development, this is from birth to approximately 2 years of age. I pretty much have 2 at that age right now. The 1-year-old is hilarious, but they grow like a motherfucker. So like they get big. They get real big real fast. So do you remember what they said the birth weight is of a baby?
7 to 8 pounds.
Because it usually will drop. Once it hits 8, 9, it's going to drop out of you. Just like, bam, it'll just fall out. Umbilical cord hanging there. Like, you'll be on the toilet and you drop your baby in the toilet. So I'm just kidding. I'm being dramatic.
That's happened to some
I know it does happen. Because, like, they don't know they're pregnant and they're, like, pooping and the baby goes. So, yes, it
Or they know
happens.
they're pregnant and they think they're just having like a bowel movement.
Right. Yeah. And if you're dilated, it's starting to open. The baby's head only needs like 10 centimeters. So that, like, it's all narrow. Well, in 1 year, they're going to like triple. So you go 7 to 14 and then 21 pounds. I'd say my 13-month-old is 25 pounds right now. He is definitely in like 2T clothing or 24-month clothing. He's only 13 months. Motor development. If you're annoyed by noises when there's vocal development, they scream. They love to shriek. It sounds like a horror movie because they're getting their voice. They're like, ah, and you're like, you want to put one of those collars on that you get for the dogs, but I think they would call 241 kids if we did that. If they said one more thing. Oh, yeah, it's Dr. Perdomo. Mom,
Where did I get my ADHD from?
your ID?
ADHD.
Where'd you get your ADHD from? Mine's probably from everybody. It's from the world. Like, how many noises do we have? How many phones? How many emails? How many messages? Electronic devices?
Yes, it's a nurture thing for sure. There is some connection in nature.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes,
Can you come look at this, please?
I can. You wanna bring it up and share with the class?
Absolutely not.
Oh, confidential. If you turn it in, I keep it confidential.
It's really nothing. I'm trying to look for stuff.
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong with them people.
Your family? Is that what you're saying? Your
Yes.
family? You're fine.
Okay, can you look at that?
Mhm.
Am I doing it right?
You are. And always the more the better, the most the better. So like anything you can get in terms of education.
I have my nieces.
You can, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's helpful. Is if there's other stuff, it could show genetic links and genetic connections and stuff. So this is good.
All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a little bit more, and then I'll turn it.
What's your name?
You want her to do your assignment for you, don't you?
No, never
I
that.
said never that. Do you need the video one more time? I know some of you are looking.
I have it.
Okay.
It's like when I watch the video, my eyes go this way.
But isn't that like school in general? That's like school every day. That's like,
growing up here.
I don't even know how I made it through. Like that's every day.
I can show you mine.
Womp, 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 womp.
That's the reason cortisol in your brain that makes you want to breathe.
I got
Like, it's like a form of inflammation where the processes to even occur as the chemical compounds, the mixtures in your brain that
And
actually
then I found where
That's
it
require
was
the neural plasticity for learning.
well,
Yeah.
You have to release cortisol to mix that composition so that you can
You got to stress to learn. Yeah. Well, it's like the teacher. You seen Charlie Brown? The Charlie Brown teacher. I'll give you guys. Tell me if you've ever heard this. Do you know what I'm talking
I
about?
do.
Like, how do you guys know? So every day when you go to class, does that always sound like?
Not you. You don't sound like that. You sound like my professor.
Do you want to know why it sounds that way?
The cortisol?
No, that's the resistance is actually allowing it to happen.
You're like,
Because if you seek out the suffering of learning, because it goes from want to real information, right?
Yeah.
You avoid it and you're like, oh, I'm stressed out and tired of it, you actually prevent the cortisol from releasing, which therefore preventing any possibility of learning.
right.
There's a neurology behind this, like we know this information. So
We'll do it again
engagement
for you.
You have to be
Tell me if your
engaged.
teachers ever sound like this.
And I also, when I'm not paying attention
I said, isn't that every day in school? Like, partly
I
why.
like that try harder, that also engage, like employer engagement, which is great. I love teachers that get into it.
But you know, pretty big family.
Although I was, such an in-person learner, I did have to go to every single class. Like if I was stuck with dyslexia to read it, I
It's funny, so that's how I got.
you don't or you
I
do
don't want to see it. Can you just put my screen?
because they lost.
I don't even care they lost. I have money.
Oh, you did. Was it that new app that gives you a bunch of cash to throw on?
FanDuel?
It's not even that. I'm on sleep.
Okay.
I know it's cool. I have that issue with actually about dyslexia, and because of today's reading programs, I do for free. It's completely transformed my ability.
Yeah, because
That's how I finished. Like to listen
It's
and
like
just
free ones you can get their ads, you don't have to pay for that. Literally read everything else.
okay.
It's pretty amazing.
And our ADA was supposed to do some of that for you guys.
Oh yeah, D2L has quite a
Okay.
besides with the exception of PDFs and things that appear as images that
Yeah.
you won't read.
Right.
But then again, that's why I have another program that's extra that will do that anyways.
Okay, it can read
You just gotta download
OCR.
it into the program,
Okay.
translates them into text.
Our mom ought to go. Later.
Assignments due, Mom, at midnight.
So yeah,
I didn't even realize I didn't have maybe I had a due date, but I didn't have the points associated with it. So I made sure to update
yeah.
that.
Did you get my email?
Probably.
I'ma text you.
I made a
Well,
mistake
she
in
did my
posting my genogram in the life cycle assignment that you gave me.
Oh, you just did it backwards. You can post more stuff.
I posted both of them, but it's like I kind of posted the same thing in two different.
What is that? What's the life cycle of something?
So you can turn them both into both. Life cycle's not due till you're asking when it's due.
Next Friday.
Next, yeah, you probably know it better than I do.
And then, so you just want like a screenshot of the months and things that show that we've been doing it?
That just lets you know
Or
That
or how would you like?
places.
and the video that we had the other day, and it was how to make a genogram. And it's really detailing. Did you want me to show that to you again?
I did the genogram. I talked about the, send that back when you ready.
So EcoMap, I'm sorry. How do
Yeah,
you
my
make
bad.
it?
Eco-map.
I probably said,
I have
It's
I
like
have
the
to
with
go
like the
too.
circles and the lines.
When I think of genogram, I think like exercise life. I don't know why.
okay.
But
I think I put the video in with it if you want, or I can show it now, whichever one is. I know you guys have already seen it. If you're okay watching it again,
That's fine.
that's the what? This is the
that's the EcoMap. So it will use information from life cycle if that's what you're asking. So it's now detailing it into what you do throughout the day and the week.
Oh, okay.
So I'll show you because it sounds like this.
In this video, we will explain how to make an eco-map. An eco-map is a diagram showing the social and personal relationships of an individual. As we make an eco-map, we put the parent or child in the center and visually display the key relationships they have. We talk with parents and children from a strength-based and person-centered perspective, forming a relationship in which we work together to empower the parent or child. The eco-map shows.
And I know with yours, it'll show different colors, like you're at the gym, you're at class, you're at work, you're at church. Very similar here. You just like, if you have it in black and white, you can do it the way she's doing it, but it's showing your energy to each one of those activities, like going to the gym, going to work, going to McDonald's, going to Chipotle. And then you start picking up on patterns in your life. Like, what am I spending the most time on? Where am I spending the most places?
So we would do that for our eco
Eco-map.
So
And you can use life cycle for that. That's why I was saying,
yeah,
it'll
so
track
we
you,
would like take all that stuff and
put it in just like this.
Okay.
So this would be like a perfect assignment. I know it takes a minute to explain, but she'll detail
The
it.
important
I hope it doesn't sound like wah, 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 wah. Okay.
nurturing or conflict-laden connections between the family and the world. It demonstrates the flow of resources or lack thereof. As an assessment tool, an eco-map can be helpful in determining the family's strengths, resources, needs, and deficits. It helps the parents and children to understand the various systems with which they interact, and it gives us the opportunity to encourage them to build upon their network if necessary. For example, we will make an eco-map for Michelle, the author's daughter, a healthy 17-year-old teenager. But before we start with the example, let's explore what resources people usually have.
And because she's 17, the examples may be different. Like you guys could be old enough to go to places she can't go to, or in college, you go to different places. That's fine. Just put what they are and identify the patterns. And we make these because when we meet with a client, it can tell us a lot about the client. First, the genogram with genetics. What's your family history? Mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, did they have alcoholism? Did one of them die of cancer? Like I had cancer on both sides. I got alcoholism on both sides, so I'm bound to have it. I got to get checked early, where they put that camera up your butt. What is that called? Where they do there's like
Colonoscopy.
yeah, I have to do that over spring break because I'm high risk. Yeah, and so yeah, it used to be 50, and now if you're high risk, which I am, and you want to find that stuff because if you have colon cancer at 45, you don't check it till 50, you're going to die. So that's why making first a genogram for genetics, the eco map for energy, or if I see I'm spending as much time at the bar as I did in college, I might get cancerous polyps from drinking alcohol every single day the way I did back then. So it just gives you information when you're a counselor to your clients, it gives you information to counsel them.
When we think about supports, we can divide them into informal and formal supports. Informal supports are family members and friends, people who don't get paid to be with us. On the other end are formal supports. We think about school, intervention programs, doctors, CPS, and CASA. Formal supports are assigned to work with us. They often get paid to do so. Between the formal and informal supports, there are the institutions we choose to be involved with. Examples are the workplace, clubs, faith organizations, and neighbors. That is where we meet people because we are part of the same group. When we draw an eco map, we look at all these realms of life to find support for the parent or child. Let's now see what Michelle's eco map looks like, what formal and informal support she has, what organizations she is part of, and who she is acquainted with at each of these organizations. We start by putting the person we interview in the middle of the paper and add some empty circles to get it started. A good first question to ask is, who is important in your life? Michelle will tell you about her parents, sisters, and boyfriend. When we ask Michelle where she spends most of her time, she will tell you she spends most of her time at school. We can ask her who important teachers are and who she spends time with at school. She has a friend at school she also meets outside of school. A good next question is, what groups, activities, or memberships do you hold or belong to? Michelle will then go into a long conversation that she is an activist and is a member of several activist groups and who she knows there, that she is a rock climber and who her favorite coach is and who her climbing friends are. She also tells you she goes to church and a church group, but she isn't close with anyone there. Since we cannot put in a person's name for her church activities, we just put church in the circle. This is a place she meets people and could possibly build on her support network. Asking Michelle about her neighbors, she'll tell you that she has a neighbor whom she could contact in case of emergency. Can the parent or youth you interview name an emergency contact? As a last question, we verify if the diagram is complete. Is there anyone missing? Are there any other groups or places you go to during the week? Michelle will tell you that she goes to vision therapy once a week to learn to focus better. Now we have identified whom Michelle spends time with. We'll review what questions we've asked to get here, and then we'll see how she relates to everyone. Here are some questions you may want to ask to build the eco map.
I'll pause it at the end because these are good to make sure you guys cover all your bases. Like if you're working with a client and they have who is important in your life, who do you spend most of your time with, what groups, activities, or memberships do you hold or belong to? Maybe a gym membership, maybe a casino membership, maybe a Carnival cruise membership, just like ideas that are out there. Who do you talk to when you're there? Who do you talk to when you're stressed out even? What is your source of income? For a while, mine was student loans. I'm embarrassed to say, but I lived off student loans for I worked too, so I was working full time and still had to take the extra student loans until 2016. Who do you talk to in your neighborhood? Can you name an emergency contact? Are there any other clubs or places you visit during the week, and is anyone missing? So just looking at your patterns throughout the week, and you'll use this, knowing how to make this for yourself, you'll use this for your clients too.
The next step is to explore the quality of these relationships. Relationships might be depicted as close or distant, strong or weak, one-sided or mutual. Michelle loves her parents and thickens the line between herself and her parents. The arrows point both ways as she receives and gives love. She also loves her sisters, her boyfriend, and other friends, and identifies these relationships as reciprocal. Michelle mainly receives energy from her rock climbing coach, her teacher in school, and her vision therapist. So the arrow points towards Michelle, but not the other way. Michelle and her school counselor argue a lot. This relationship is a strenuous one. We put stripes to show the relationship is taxing. The relationship with the neighbors is not very active, but it gives Michelle peace of mind to have someone to go to in case of a fire or other pressing things. The dashed line shows the relationship, although significant, is tenuous. If the parents or youth you interview give a lot of energy to everyone, but don't receive much back, there is not a balance and it becomes draining. Or if the interviewee receives mostly energy, but is not giving much back, we can likewise be aware of the impacts this could have. As you can see, an eco map gives you a good overview of the dynamics of someone's relationships. It shows you what groups your individual belongs to, what support they have within each group, and where there is a possibility to grow the support network. It creates a meaningful dialogue between volunteer or caseworker and parent or child. Making an eco map together will give you the opportunity to gain understanding of the family's social environment and evaluate connections together. We put a date on the map. Over time, relationships will change. If we give Michelle strategies on how to work with her counselor and how to make friends at church, we have empowered her. And maybe next time we make an eco map with her, it will show. We hope you have enjoyed watching this video. We wish you success in learning more about the children and families you work with. Keep looking for how to reconnect the children with their relatives and other emotional supports. Remember that parents need support as well. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and watch other videos that might be useful for you or your work. Thank you for all you do.
All right, so
In this
I
video,
know we've seen this a couple of times, but sometimes it takes that long to sink in. Just to understand why are we learning this in the first place? Like, I truly try not to give you guys any busy work. I want stuff you're going to use in the field. I want things that you'll be like, oh, I can use this with the client. I can be a better counselor or social worker with this. I can be whatever it may be. So, any questions? Why? My computer wants to break on me every so often. When you guys, like, after you get through doing your own, and you've got experience doing one, after you do your EcoMap genogram with clients to figure out their trauma history, their background, their genetic history, their, all the things that you ask on assessment, and then the next stage of counseling, kind of seeing what their goals are based off of what they do in life. Do they need help with getting the job? Do they need help with finishing education? Do they need help with any variety of things that we go through? That's why we do it. Edison said he would write me a letter of support, but I have to write it for him. Did you guys know when you ask for letters of support when you apply to graduate school, a lot of times they'll tell you to write it, and then They look at it, and if they agree with it, they sign it.
That's so lazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's lazy.
It is very standard across the board. There's also imagine if you get into a place when you graduate and you work as a social worker and you got 7 to 10 people asking that. Another way to frame it is like, what strengths are you bringing? Like, what do you have to give? Like, why are you going to be good for what you want to do in your field? Like, what do you want to do in social work? Is it something specific, or do you want
Nothing
to?
specific.
Okay. So anything that's hiring and paying well, right? Okay. And it's amazing how often it comes up though, where the ask is to have you, right? Maybe it's even better to describe it as like, what are your strengths? What do you have to add to a program? Why would you be a good fit there? Because not everybody knows all the stuff that you do. So that comes up. So rapid growth, here's what rapid growth looks like. So here is, I'm gonna make it big because it starts getting small. The biggest thing is like exposing your kids, or if you work at a preschool or any of those places, you expose them to so much because there's so much going on. So birth weight is doubled in 5 months. That's what I was saying. Maybe there's 7. My first was 6.5. My second was 7.5. My third was 8.5. And they do double in 5 months. I'd say the one who's 25 pounds at a year was 17 pounds at 5 months. And then the length is doubled by 3 years. This is what's kind of cool. Any of you got a 2-year-old in your life? When you measure them, you double that, and that will be their height when they're a full-grown adult. There's some research that puts that up there. So at 2 years, you're half your adult height. A lot of people are like 2 feet, 7 inches, whatever. I think the average man is 5'9". The average woman might be what, 5? Anybody know? Is it? So 2.5 feet, or like, if you would be 5'4", then 2'8", 2 feet 8 inches. Then you'd be an average height woman, and then so that's one interesting stat. Some red flags are if they have either a large head, too big, they had to have a C-section, or a small head size. Potential cognitive deficits. You know why they do a C-section if the head's too big?
To prevent tearing.
Yes. Yeah. And tearing's almost normal. Like it's how many stitches are you getting? It is very normal. It does heal up. It depends on if they use the jaws of life. Our first baby, they had to go in and like pull her out like that, and that's horrible.
There's one of the reasons they do it too. Not one, but there's one very noticeable one. Is if the baby just spins around and crosses its legs, they can't actually move the birth canal.
Right.
So that one was-
Yeah, if they're not set up right, they can't come out the birth canal.
But that's the first thing is not C-section. And they will try to manually move baby and like basically press on baby to try to get them in the correct position.
In fact, it's been like, oh no.
And I think there's like some medications they try to give as well, but not as
To relax the child and stuff, or something. My sister got the cord wrapped. She crossed her legs 2 weeks before, and the cord began to get ripped. They tried to spin her, but the cord, she moved, and the cord wrapped around her neck. And they're like, oh god.
That's what happened to me.
Did
I
it?
came out feet first, actually.
Really?
Mhm.
So that was dangerous, or how did that go down? Were they like, oh, you can't do that? What'd your mom say about it? I guess that's
She
what
said
I'm
that I
doing.
came out feet first, and
Okay.
I got a C-section or whatever. So, yeah, she said it hurt real bad.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Well, and the concern is like if you were to poop, which is common, like that happens, and you can aspirate that, and there, you don't want those bacteria and chemicals. So if you're head first, usually you're like,
She said they had to, kind of bring me back when I came out. So, yeah, it was like that. But it was bad. I won't say bad because, I'm right here. But, yeah.
Also, if you're like too far along in labor and like the baby's head is too large, sometimes they won't give you like a cesarean section, they'll give you, what is it, an episiotomy, which they cut from the bottom of like the vagina. Yeah, to like your anus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's like so crazy to me. And then like you think of like these other countries that don't have these measures and why they have higher, like mothers have higher like mortality rates.
Right. Well, if
give
you
birth.
got like, there's a reason that's separated, you know, and if you have a fistula, have you ever heard of a fistula? It's just a bad connection between two areas. So it could be birth canal and anus. It could be, you know, for whatever reason, they have to fix that. So it's other things that they have to make sure are fixed, and definitely stressful. So other things that come up, if they have a small height, there could be some genetic syndromes that's showing the infant brain. So brain growth is most critical to biophysical human development. At 1 year, it's half the size of an adult brain. So I think it's like 3.5 pounds ish. I feel like an adult brain can get like 6-7 pounds. And that's, you know, all that stuff that we see and smell and hear and experience and all of that. There's billions of neurons. So as a parent or child development person, if you work in schools, like getting them ready for whatever they need, because there's things that we expose them to, things that we get them ready for, things that we do. Proper nutrition is a big part of that. So you got to make sure they're getting everything, especially omega-3s and like fatty acids. So sometimes they'll put that in the formula now. A lot of that is contained in breast milk. And that's why people would pump. It's also why people, you know, will even mix breast milk with formula, and also why sometimes they'll pump and freeze their milk so you can like stretch it out for several more months. Experience in the social environment is also important to brain growth during this time. So like you want to get them out there, expose them to people. Like, what do you guys do with your nieces and nephews? You just like let them fight it out ever? Like put them in the ring and say, all right, now whoever wins, wins.
No, I got my niece and nephews are cousins, so I don't get around shit like that.
And they're nice to each other.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
But when you can get them to fight each other, it's actually really funny. Like especially like, oh, he's like, go hit it.
Right.
Go hit it.
Right. No, they absolutely
It's
do.
hilarious.
There's a lot.
My nephew, he's younger than my niece, so my niece, you know, treats him like a baby doll. Like he's one of her own, so she's really nice to him, but not to us.
Right. It can be so much going on with that, and there's just, you know, some people isolate when they have kids, and it's like hard to get them out. It's hard to put them in the car seat. It's hard to like load them up and drive them places safely. My wife had a family where it turned out her older sister did get hit by a car when she was 2 and died. So that was like a family trauma, that across the board. There were 7 of them total, and because she died, there's 6 of them now. But even her older sister, who was in utero at the time, is still like high cortisol and like just easily stressed, super anxious, all of that. So it says here like growth does not happen at the same rate overall. Somebody want to help pronounce that word? It's
No.
It's the baby's growth from head to feet. So a lot of times they're like 20 inches when they're born, almost 2 feet. Or proximal from spine to the extremities. So like, you know, like the span. And then the maturation theory. So like genetically programmed sequence. That's why we do the genogram. Like you'll get genes, you'll get good genes, we'll get bad genes, we'll get so many different things that come up, and it's these milestones that show some of the different challenges that come up. So milestones help us to understand normal or typical sequence of development. Do you ever remember getting those height measurements and they're like, you're at the 50th percentile or you're at the, are those usually right all the way up until you're fully grown? Or they change a lot? Like we have one of ours, he is 99th percentile in everything, the most recent. And I'm like, I'd imagine he's going to be pretty big the rest of his life. He's just like a big dude. That probably won't go away.
Was he born a little later than they expected?
Actually, right at like 39 weeks, they induced him.
And they what? It's in 30, anywhere from 37 to something. You mentioned that's like.
Yep.
So the same thing they told my nephew, my brothers, about after he was born, that they said that because he was weight two in a way like that, that he will always be a little bigger.
Oh, interesting.
Than the rest of the kids around him because it's not the only factor, but it has a big influence on.
Right.
After that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. So as who turned in their genogram on the tripod stand? It's a threefold. Yes.
Somebody did that?
Uh-huh.
You did what?
Somebody gave you a big old one, huh?
Yeah, which I'm like, I'd actually like to see that
That's awesome.
because it's cool in class, but I just saw a picture of it, so I'd love to see it.
That's awesome.
Well, here's a few other things. We'll go over these next time because I know we're down to our last 15 minutes. So don't take into those at 50% for their age. It doesn't take into account the quality, like clinical experience needed just for milestones, the station, posture, sitting, standing positions, gait, movement. So all of these things tell you information. So like how they walk. Supposedly you have to crawl before you walk. Crawl well. And those that skip a lot of the crawling, like the left-right patterns in the brain aren't always like brought to, it's a cause for dyslexia. There's like some research showing like if you crawl for a day or two and then just go right into walking, you're not getting down like the patterns that you need to like full development with use of your brain.
I think that's why it's important to assess these certain baby mobility things and when to put them in their life because you could do them a disservice by allowing them to skip that.
Yeah, like you want them to walk at 8 or 9 months super early. That's cool for you, but like for the baby, they do need these milestones. So they do need to crawl first. They do need to like learn different things, even be read to, which is, something that as crazy as it sounds, is super important for like brain development. So it helps us identify those who may be at risk for developmental delay, not so much developmental disorder, but like if they're delayed on something, those can't perform a task at the 90% babies can. That's when like you would maybe want to intervene as a social worker. And then screening, they have you go way more than that. They say 9, 18, 24 months. I feel like they do it way more than that. Yes.
So how would you approach like the parent if you have concerns about their child's development? Like what is like the appropriate way?
It seems like more than often you're not going to be the first one bringing it to them. Like they're going to get it early on in the hospital or at that 1 month visit, the 2 month visit. And then you'll be hired on as the social worker at Help Me Grow. So they'll already have protocol to, like give them the soft blows so you're not the asshole. Like your kid might be damaged in some way. And they even have like genetic testing before you're born. So they can tell some of these things way before you're born even. And they have agencies specific to that, if that answers your question. Okay. So you'll have, you don't have to be the one to break the bad news. Like, I have something terrible to tell you. 'Cause that would be hard to do.
Right.
Like, how do you tell them? How do you talk to the parents about that and do what you have to and whatnot? So, let me see. Any questions? I want to go over this one more next time, but like, turn your head at 1 month, rolls front to back 4 months, sits up at 7, creeping on the walls and like lift themselves up, independent steps at 12. Then they'll stand without pulling up at 14 months and walks well. Mine's 13 months, so he'll be here soon. He took like 10 steps yesterday, so he's like right on. Walks backwards. That's actually kind of funny. He knew to turn around and go down the steps backwards yesterday, so that was good because that's the only safe way. They can't walk up and down the steps. It's pretty bad. So yeah. So that is for today. And then here's your red flags. At 9 months, if they have an inability to sit, you're kind of alerted something's slow on their development. Or at 18 months, independently walk. If they have an inability to independently walk, that's kind of a concern. Now, we had a lazy niece in my family, and her mom carried her everywhere, and she was smart to pick up on that, and she just refused to walk until she was like 2. And she's fine. She was just like, dude, you're going to carry me everywhere? Like, I'm not going to walk. And she just wouldn't walk. So sometimes you have that. They're actually really smart, and they're just like, oh, you carry me everywhere I go. This is awesome.
My brother had to go through that stage too, where he just would not. He's like, I'm just gonna have to let you cry a little bit because I need you to walk.
Right.
Or sometimes if you act like you're about to leave them, like, well, goodbye. Then they'll
Right.
say, ah!
They're venturing around skating. They're like, I want to go.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you'll get some of those and just all the different things that come up. Developmentally, I like the picture one, but I'm going to go to it and then go back for next class. But just kind of like that's 1 and 2 months, 3 and 4, then they'll roll over at 4.5 and 5, sit up at 6 and 7 without the tripod sitting. 8 and 9 pulling themselves up, creeping on the wall. That's when they pull all the shit over and knock things down and shatter things. You got to baby proof your house at that point when they're moving like that, and then standing. So that's kind of your breakdown. That is all I have for today. What do you guys have any?
It's funny how realistic it is, because the last 2 slides from 11 to 12, you can actually see the posture and how it conveys a different type of movement. It's very subtle.
Right.
I only know that from because I had the privilege of watching him go through these stages.
Right.
The one with the one hand and like Reese, where he started going like, "Hey," and he stopped having just both hands on the counter. It's funny.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The subtleties of communication.
Yep.
This is why body language is a big part of communication.
I know.
So
It
look at his
is.
spine, and he's like leaning over a little bit, and he's got his hands out to compensate to like balance, but then he like puts his back erect and he like puts his hands onto his side, and you can see him actually taking
Yeah.
like step that balances on one leg.
And I like when he first starts walking, he's got that big old belly because he hasn't been walking yet. So he's like feeding and eating and sitting around, and then he starts walking the belly off. It's like, it's just typical. That's a healthy baby. That's good. It has a little comment here, like it's called chronological progression of gross motor development during the first 12 postnatal months, reproduced with permission, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, seeing if there's other notes. That's the only notes on all these slideshows. So interesting. So yeah, we'll get, I'm going to start it back there on Thursday. What day are we on? It's Tuesday. Good. I can't remember what day it is.
Check out the weeks. Are we happy? We're not happy, right?
I think they make us turn in your all's midterm grade. So I do